yes, that's right, it's Joe here for Joyrider TV, and we're out for a run on the Tornado with Marco. Marco just letting the downhaul off there, ready for the bear away before hoisting the kite. And bearing away from on the trapeze for more control, easing a bit of sheet, going round the corner. Marco pulling the tack line, at the same time I'm coming in. Kite's going up, and I'm sheeting in the main, ready for the power. So on this day out, it was blowing to start with between 16 and 18 knots. We have a combined crew weight of about 170 kilos. And we're just looking at some upwind, downwind sailing. And throughout this session, the wind was increasing. And we're just seeing what sort of performance we can get out of the Tornado. There's been a lot of chat that the boat can go faster, so we're trying to make it go faster. So if you've got any tips or advice, please put it in the comments below, because it's always appreciated. So on the downwind, Marco's keeping the spinnaker as loose as possible, easing it out just until the luff curls, and then bringing it back in. You might be able to see a slightly loose foot on the spinnaker. This might be because we had the luff a little bit too tight on this day out. I've got the main sheet pinned in, traveller pinned into the centre, steering with my whole arm on the tiller connecting bar. This is to prevent oversteering. Then as we come more downwind, the water gets slightly choppier, so I'm trying to keep the hull a bit more lifted, which presents more of the volume of the hull to the water, meaning we're less likely to stick the nose in. So just coming in for the drop, I'm easing off a bit of sheet as we slow down. As Marco comes in, he takes up the slack on the retrieval. Bangs the halyard. And then down it goes. Bit of a relaxed pace drop on that one. It was our first one, we hadn't sailed together for a good 5 years. And then as heading up, getting out onto the trapeze. And the trick, especially when it's windy, is when heading up or bearing away to get around the corner pretty quickly. So that you don't hit that beam reach with loads of power, flying the hull too high, getting out of control. So now back on the upwind point of sail, getting ready for the next hoist. Yes, this has been edited to get rid of a lot of the upwind sailing, as that's all pretty much the same. So there we are, getting round that corner pretty quickly from out on the trapeze, just to get through that powerful beam reach section as quickly as possible. Marco's got a good stable stance there for the hoist. We're going straight into a jibe here as soon as the spinnaker is filled.
We're drinking to that new Supercat.
Bringing the main sheet in as the spinnaker fills. This helps to support the mast and to get some of the twist out of the mainsail, which we don't need with the spinnaker up. Then you can really see on this tack, I've got my arm on the tiller connecting bar. This is really good because the boat becomes very sensitive when you're moving this quickly, and by having the arm on the bar, it means you're much less likely to understeer. Trying to keep the steering down to a minimum when we're getting a gust and the hull lifts. Really trying to hold it there, unless the hull does go too high, and then I'll just bring it down in just a touch. But perhaps I'm even steering too much. You can just see the tiller connecting bar is moving from side to side slightly. Perhaps a straighter course would deliver higher boat speed. If you think so, put it in the comments. yeah, on this occasion, as we're getting more downwind, we're just sailing out of the wind. So these are quite short downwind legs. So Marco moving to the leeward side for the drop this time. And as he's doing that, once most of the spinnaker is away, I can get out onto the trapeze to head up onto the upwind course. So on the upwind course, we're trapezing very low. As we get more power, we're bringing on more downhaul, which is flattening the sail and opening the leach. We're looking at the tack here. So on the Tornado, we're definitely favouring tacking standing up because it is a very wide boat to get across. So you can get across the boat much quicker by standing. Also on the Tornado, we've got a very long tiller extension. We're of course using the Malcheski Composites Pro Rider Telescopic on this occasion. But to get that around the back, what I'm generally doing is going across the boat first and then retrieving it from the leeward side afterwards. That definitely seems like the easiest and quickest method. So looking at the next bear away, let's see how the guys get through this corner. Marco coming in off the trapeze, getting ready to pull the tack line out, letting off the downhaul. We're letting off the downhaul on the downwind point of sail because our apparent wind is less on the downwind. That's because we're moving in the same direction as the true wind. So as our apparent wind is less, we want more curve in the mainsail so that we keep the airflow attached to the sail. So getting through the bear away, very nice. We could see on this occasion another boat just coming upwind, so we just had to hold the boat a little bit slow for a bit to let that other boat pass. That is incidentally on Hobie Pacific, out on a joyride at Vasiliki Bay. What a great way to spend the afternoon. As soon as we were comfortable that we could get round the back of it, then we could start putting the power on by heading more upwind. And then here we can see as the hull flies, bearing away a little bit to bring it down. But we're really trying to keep it so that only the tip of the windward centreboard is in the water. As we get further downwind, more wind coming through. So we're getting slightly higher speeds here. You can really see that I am steering quite a lot, which does make me feel perhaps that is too much steering. And I'm quite happy at this point having the main sheet cranked in tight at all times because it was pretty windy all of the time, at least 18 knots now. So I didn't want to let the main sheet out in the small lulls because I worry about unsupporting the mast, but also putting too much twist into the mainsail, which might be causing drag on this leg. Incidentally, the Greek island you can see in the distance is Ithaca, where a lot of the mythology comes from. There you go. So having an absolutely great run here, although the speeds aren't particularly high, still feels absolutely fantastic. So a big gust there, you can see quite a large bear away. But again, trying to keep the hull lifted as we get further downwind into the choppier water so that we're getting more use out of the volume of the leeward hull, which is going to make it less likely to want to dig the nose in. So cut back to upwind sailing. I like to think that about 13.5 knots on the upwind leg is a good target speed on the Tornado when it's good double trapezing conditions. Coming in for the tack, again walking across the boat. There you can see the late tiller extension pass. And I do favour putting my feet under the tow strap before moving out on the trapeze, just for a little bit of added security. I've found myself in the water a couple of times, and that is not fast. And then just dropping down on the trapeze. Now stay tuned, because this next bear away is starting to get a little bit hairy as the wind increases. In the gusts on this side of the bay to over 20 knots. So we are actually looking for the biggest gust for the bear away, as I feel it's really good practice, and when you get it right in the big gust it really feels great. So Marco coming in off the trapeze, and here we can see hull flying a little bit hard as I hesitated going round the corner. Second attempt, really see the spray whipping off that leeward bow. The reason Marco's going in off the trapeze before the bear away is because we really want to have the spinnaker up and pulling as soon as possible once we hit the down in front of sail. So the spinnaker's up pretty quickly. It's in a lull there, so getting the spinnaker flying nicely before getting out on the trapeze. Oversheeted slightly to stabilise the boat whilst moving out on the trapeze, and then sheeting out to get the boat up to speed once settled. See the speeds are constantly a little bit quicker now, just because the wind has increased during this session. This video has of course been cut down a fair bit, so I think this was over about the course of an hour and a half rather than 17 minutes that we're in for just here. Again, keeping the hull lifted to get that juicy volume from the leeward hull. Really giving it some beans here, I felt. If you're a Tornado sailor and you think you could have gone faster, put it in the comments, let me know how. So once again back on the upwind leg. Coming in for the tack. It's quite interesting watching these tacks. Yeah, an extra movement there going across the boat, but we can allow it. And then pretty quick getting out on the trapeze. I'd say that was a pretty good tack. Not really losing too much pace during the turn. And then yes, we are in for one more big run on the downwind, the strongest wind yet. So stay tuned to see what sort of speed we can hit with the spinnaker up. So we're having a look for the spot for the next bear away. Boat not quite settled as much as it should be, but that's because there's some very big gusts. Yeah, higher boat speed here. That means that we're not actually going upwind anymore, we're already reaching. So Marco in off the trapeze, downhaul off. Again, a bit of hull flying there, not quite as bad as the time before. And then really trying to get it round that corner as quickly as possible. So I'm using the tiller extension over the shoulder technique to get the main sheet in more quickly. And here we go. One last big send coming up. Speed of the day there, I believe. Just over 23 knots. which for me is pretty quick with the spinnaker up. I have been told that it's not fast enough, so if you know how to go faster, let me know. But either way, this really did feel absolutely fantastic. I think possibly if we'd have had a slightly looser halyard on the spinnaker, so we got rid of that flapping foot and leech, we might have got a bit more drive out of it. Maybe I'm steering too much still. But the boat certainly felt very good, very well balanced. Good bit of a gust there. Really see us kicking up some spray off the leeward hull. Good average speed over 20 knots, 22 knots. Go for the last jibe of the session. Jibing in the strong wind with the spinnaker up is actually in many ways a lot easier than jibing with the spinnaker down, because your boat is already so far downwind you don't really have very much to steer. In fact, it doesn't feel like you steer very far at all. As long as you go into the turn with plenty of boat speed, then you will be golden. Just coming in for the last drop. Just getting out on the trapeze. Once I feel that the spinnaker's down enough, ready to start the next leg. So there we go, thanks very much for watching. See you soon with some more on Joyrider TV.